Hello, and welcome to this tutorial of the board game Vanuatu, the second edition. Although it's not the most well-known board game, it's definitely one I enjoyed playing. The box includes a small expansion, but I'll only be explaining the base game, which goes like this. You will be playing 8 rounds, and then the game is over. Whoever has the most points wins the game. This seashell is this game's icon for points. Some points you receive instantly during the game, and there's an additional scoring after the last round has finished. I will get to that later. Now I'll explain how the game is played. If you forget things, you can always look at this helpful sheet that you can keep with you for the whole game. This is how a round is played. Step 1. Choose a character. Step 2. Plan your actions. And step 3. Execute your actions. So, step 1. Choose a character. It will help you once in a round. To learn what each character can do for you, please consult the rulebook. The only thing you need to know about it is that you have to pick a character first and then return the character you chose in the previous round. Again, first pick one and then return the one you picked in the round before. Step 2. Plan your actions. This is an important part of the game. How do you do that? You have 5 planning tokens, and there are 8 actions you can choose from. I'll explain the actions later, but first I'll explain how you plan. When it's your turn, you take 2 of your tokens and place them on the actions. If you want, you can place both of them on the same space, or place one on one space and the other one on a different. Then it's the next player's turn. When it's your turn again, you do the same. You take 2 of your tokens and place them. Again, you can place both on one space or divide them. And you can also choose to add one or both to a space where you've already put a token during your previous turn. For example, you could already have 2 on one space and place 2 more on top of them. Why you would do that, I'll explain in a moment. First, it's the other player's turn. And when it's your turn again, you'll have one last planning token left, and as always you may place it wherever you like. So, that's planning. You place 2 of them. When it's your turn again, place 2 more. And on your last turn, you place your last one. When everyone has planned, this part of the round is completed. Now you go to the last bit and try to execute what you've planned to do. When it's your turn, you have to take back your planning tokens from one action space. Then you may perform that action. Again, choose one of the actions where you have 1 or more tokens, remove them to perform the action. But there's a possibility you can't do that. This is why you might choose to put more than 1 token on it. Because if at least one player that goes before you also has a token on the same space, you are blocked from doing that action. However, if you have more tokens than the other player, you are blocking that person from doing the action. And you can do it whenever you want. So, if you are player 3 and this is player 2, you can't remove this planning token until the other player has removed his or hers. Or you need to have at least 1 more planning token than the other player. If you really can't do anything else, you have to remove it and just not be allowed to do the action. In short, step 3 is executing your actions, and you can only do them if you're not blocked by another player. Let me recap that for you. Step 1 is picking a character. Step 2 is placing those planning tokens. And step 3 is taking them off so you can do the action, if you're not blocked by another player. And that's the end of the round. Let's look at the actions you can do. This game makes use of symbols. Try to make sense of them to always understand what spaces can do for you. I'll go from left to right, but there is no order in how it goes. A returning factor is that for some of the actions your little sailboat needs to be next to the island where you want to do your action. The first one is the export action. You pay the money, take a cube from the island that your sailboat is adjacent to, and place it on top of the export boat on the left side of the board. Then you get instant points. The rules for that are written right here under the export space. If you take a green cube, that'll cost you 1 money and it gives you 1 point immediately. If you take a white cube, that costs you 2 money and gives you 3 points. If you take a red cube, that costs you 3 money and gives you 5 points. If the cube you placed on the boat happens to be the third cube, you have filled it up and get an additional 2 instant bonus points. So, pay the money, put the cube from the island onto the boat, and get the points. The second one is diving for treasure. If your sailboat is in a space where there are little treasure chests, you count how many chests there are and take the treasure tile with that number on it, and then remove 1 little chest from that space. For example, if there are 3 treasures, you take the tile that says 3. At the end of the game, that will give you double points, which in this case is 6 points. Or you may discard this tile at any point during the game to get money for it. This tile will give you 3 money whenever you want. The next action is sailing. You may move your boat up to 3 spaces and pay 1 money per space. So, if you choose to move your sailboat 2 spaces, you have to pay 2 money. You always move your boat around an island, never on an island. Then, building a house. If your sailboat is next to an island with an empty little square, you pay 3 money to place one of your houses on it. This does nothing when you place it, but it pays off at the end of the game. If there's no empty square left on the island, you cannot build a house. You may build as many of your houses on an island as you like, as long as there is space. This action I always refer to as chilling. If you perform this action, you just take all these tokens and secretly choose one to keep. You will receive whatever you chose at the end of this round. What can you choose from? This one gives you 1 point. This one gives you 1 money. This one gives you 1 point and 1 money. And then this one gives you the first player token, so that you can go first in the next round and you always have the lead over other players. Next up we have bringing tourists to an island. These white pawns represent tourists. At the start of every round, the game will automatically tell you how many tourists have come out of the hotel and are waiting to be taken away by you. The action is bringing all or some of these tourists to an island that's adjacent to your sailboat, preferably an island on which you own a house. You will get 1 money per house on that island. So if you bring 4 tourists to an island where there is 1 house, you get 1 money. The number of tourists does not matter for this, only the number of houses on the island. So, bringing tourists to an island gives you a little bit of money. But if you own a house there, it gives you a lot of bonus points at the end of the game. This action is fishing. It works about the same as diving for treasure. If your sailboat is on a space where there are these little pink fishes, you count the number of fish and take a fish tile with that number on it. And then you remove one little fish from the board. You get nothing for the moment, but you can sell the fish later for money. Which is this action, selling fish. The first rule is that you may only sell fish if your sailboat is next to an island where you have a house. You cannot sell fish from a distance. You cannot sell fish to other players' houses. The next rule is that you can sell as much fish as you like, and you sell it for the current marketplace. For example, the market price is 3, and you sell 1 fish. This means you get 3 money. If you had had 2 fish, you would get 6 money. Once you have sold the fish and taken your money, you lower the market price by 1. So if another player also sells fish this round, he gets 2 money per fish instead of 3. The last action on the board is another simple one, making a sand drawing. If your boat is next to an island where there is a small empty circle, you take a little sand drawing and place it on that space. It gives you 3 points instantly. These are all the actions you can perform in the game of Vanuatu. I'll do a little recap in a moment, but before that, I would like to mention one important rule that you must keep an eye on during the whole game, and that's this. You may only place a token on an action space if you are capable of actually doing it. For example, you want to dive for treasure, but at the moment your boat is not yet on a space where there is treasure. Therefore, you must first place one of your action tokens on the sailing action before you are allowed to place another on the treasure action. Another simple example is this. You want to place your action token on the sailing action, but you have no money in your bank account, and you don't have any treasure to sell for money. Sailing costs money, so you are not allowed to place your action token on the sailing action, or any other action that costs money. A more complicated example would be if you want to sell fish, but you don't yet have fish or a house to sell fish to. So you must first place your token on sailing to go where there's fish, then a second token on the fishing action to catch the fish, your third token on the build action to build a house on the island that you're next to, and then finally you may place a token on the selling fish action space. Remember this rule for yourself and other players. It's easily overlooked. So, let's look at those actions again. We have exporting, where you place a cube on the boat for points. Diving for treasure, where you receive treasure tiles. Sailing to move your sailboat around the board. Building, which lets you place one of your houses on an island. Chilling, where you take one of those 4 tokens that will give you something at the end of the round. Bringing tourists to an island, where you get 1 money for every house on that island, even if it's not your own house. Fishing, where you receive fish tiles. Selling fish, where you get money if you sell your fish to your own house. And making a sand drawing to get 3 points. When there are no more planning tokens to remove from the board, it's the end of the round. A little recap. You pick a character, you plan your actions, and you perform your actions. That is one round. As I've said at the beginning, there are things you get extra points for at the end of the game. They are written on the helpful sheet that you can have with you for the whole game. Scoring at the end of the game is this. You get 1 point for every 3 money you have in the bank. You get double points for all treasure that you dove up. You get 3 points if you are the holder of the first player token. And you get points for a combination of houses and tourists. This works as followed. At the end of the game, there will be multiple islands with houses and tourists on them. You get 2 points for every tourist per house on an island. For example, if you have built 2 houses on one particular island and there is 1 tourist on that island, you get 4 points in total. 2 points for that tourist for your first house, and 2 more points for that same tourist for your second house. So again, bonus points at the end of the game for your money, your treasure, the starting player token, and tourists on an island where you have built houses. And that is how Vanuatu is played. Of course, there are some details, like how the bank works and what each of these characters can do to help you. But to keep this tutorial short and help you hold the information I've given you, I suggest you consult the rulebook for that. It's not very complicated, especially when you understand all the symbols on the board. If you play your first game slightly incorrect, no problem. Read the rules afterwards and make sure you play it the right way the next time. A little recap to round up this tutorial. In Vanuatu, you choose a character to help you for the upcoming round. You place your tokens to plan your actions. And then hopefully you can perform as many actions as you initially intended to perform. Plan and perform. You are now as ready as you can be to play Vanuatu. But while you're actually playing it, you will get a complete comprehension of it all. I hope you enjoyed as much as I do and that this video was helpful. Thank you for watching and see you for the next one.